G'day guys, welcome back again. I'm going to do another ring pour for you today. It's similar to the one that I did in the previous video. I'm going to add a little bit extra paint that I did with the other one. I had a little bit of paint left in the bottom of each cup, so I did sort of overstretch it, I feel, so I've made a bit more paint this time, and also I've added orange. So I've got black, orange, red and yellow, and they're all global impasto paints. That's butter, orange, the cool red and the black, and I'm adding them all to floetrol, 2 parts floetrol to 1 part paint, and I do measure everything. So I've got 80 grams of floetrol in each and 40 grams of paint, and I just use my digital kitchen scales. The black I've got a little bit more. I've got 100 grams of floetrol and 50 grams of black, just so that I can do my corners in black. Okay, now I want black in the middle and I want black on the outside, so I'm going to start with black and I'm going to finish with black. So I'm going to pour them all in here. I'm going to layer each colour twice so that I can get a bit of variation in colour rather than just one ring of each. I find if I have one layer of each, whatever I put on the outside is pretty much tilted off, so you only end up with 3 colours. Whereas if I layer it twice, I know that I'm going to get those colours more than once. So I'm going to use half, a little bit, not quite half of the black, a third I guess, because I want some left over for my corners. And I'm going to pour some orange in, half of the orange. Try not to knock everything over. Half of the red. I don't love this red. It's more of a pinky red, I feel. And then back to the black. Rest of the orange. So this is a 30 centimetre by 40 centimetre thick card. This one's 450 grams in thickness, which is a nice weight. Doesn't tend to warp, just light flat when you're drying it. When I've finished pouring, I'll transfer these onto some non-stick baking paper or greaseproof paper, and I let them dry flat on my table, and I find that works really well. And then if you want to, you can frame them. I just have a whole collection of these, big pile. It's my experimental pieces, but if you do want to display them, feel free to pop them in a frame. Okay, and I'm going to finish off with black because I want a black centre. And then I'm going to put a little bit of extra black on my corners because I do like some negative space, as you all know by now. I like the difference between the black, or the contrast between the black and the bright colours. So I don't mind having black corners at all. Okay, these little spatulas are really handy to spread paint around with. Alright, let's get to pouring. Round and round in circles we go. I'm doing quite big circles because I want thick bands of paint. If you did smaller circles, you'd end up with thinner bands of paint. But I like the look of having the thick ones. Wow, that yellow and orange and black looks amazing together. Try not to stir my paint too much, because the more that I'm rotating this cup, the more the paint is mixing in the cup. So A, it gets a bit more muddy towards the end, and B, we are likely to get cells from the paint mixing together, rubbing up against other paint. And here comes the black for our centre. So more paint this time, which is good. I feel that I did have to stretch my paint a little bit too much on the last pour. Round and round, just finish that off. Now you can either catch the drips with a plastic spoon or you can pop your finger in there. I'm just going to run that last little drip around. Continue the circle. There we go. Okay. Now, I think I'll go that way first because this is already almost covered, so we'll try that way with most of the paint. Since we've got a lot of paint to play with, we'll go that way. Actually, I should torch first. I always forget to torch to get my bubbles out. Before you start tilting and torch when you're finished, just to make sure that there's no little air bubbles that might make pinholes once your painting's dried and spoil your effect. Now I don't mind leaving some black corners. As I said, I'd like my black corners, so I won't necessarily take all this paint over. While we're already down here with the weight of the paint, oops, knocked my heat gun over. While we're already down here with this weight of the paint, I'm going to just take it that way, trying to continue with this circular motion going around the corner there. There's no reason why you can't do tilt in circles. You don't have to go corner to corner, you can just do little circles and cover all your card or canvas that way. Off we go. I'm liking the black and the orange here together. This orange where it's just plain orange isn't that attractive. I can always tilt that off later. You always seem to get one section where there's not many colours, it's just a plain colour. Okay, back again. I'll take the weight of the paint back to the centre and then I'll go for the next corner. Loving this orange with the black here. The previous one I had red with the black. Didn't look as nice, in my opinion. Alright, off to the next corner, the side and the corner at the same time. And I'm just going to turn it and then I can continue. That weight of the paint is right there, so I'm just going to continue it round again, round the corner. You can see it flowing here, the weight of it. I think that's a good way of doing it rather than do corner, 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 corner. I used to centre my paint back in the middle, but I think this works well too, just continuing the flow. It's already here, it wants to go that way, we'll just let it go. A few cells popping up, which is to be expected with the floetrol. When you've got your paint, particularly your dark colours, mixed in your cup with floetrol, have a look at the top of it. It looks as if there's a bit of oil sitting on top of water. That's what it looks like, it sort of shines. So there must be something in the floetrol, some kind of oil. It is a conditioner, it's a paint conditioner, so there must be something in there it has some kind of an oily base, because it certainly does create cells, whether you want them or not. So I'm much happier with this piece. Still don't really like this red. I might have to change to a different red, but it's still pretty. Happy with it. Now I'm just checking the composition. Now that I've covered what I want to cover. So I like my black corners and I like my black centre, and I think that balances it out. Feel free to go over your corners if you want to. I personally just like black corners. Alright, so that's where I'm going to stop with that one. Run my finger under there, get rid of that paint on the cooling rack. And I will transfer this to some baking paper shortly, let it dry flat. Oops, can't pick it up with my glove on. Okay. Kind of looks a bit like a solar sort of a look. Planets and sun and light flares, a bit galactic. Really like these feathering bits here where the orange is coming round into the black. That's really pretty. I've got some finger shapes here, some more feathering. And that's because I had a bit more paint on my board. Last time it was I had to stretch it too much, so all my rings ended up being like this, which is still pretty, but I do like these little finger and feather effects that I get from having more paint and thicker paint, 2-to-1 mix on my surface. Okay, so really liking that one. Check out the previous one as well, previous video. It was just the same colours except I didn't have orange in it. And please join the Australian Acrylic Pouring Group. I'd love to see you there, love to see your work there. If you are an Aussie, it's a nice place to be, to join other Aussies. You can get advice on what products to get and paints to get, because we can't always get the supplies that our friends in the US get, so we can give you lots of advice. Alright, I'll take you in for a close-up. Okay, that's it from me. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.